Ladies and gentlemen, every single one of us carries a story. Some stories are filled with laughter, joy, and victories, while others are covered with scars, pain, and broken pieces of dreams. But let me ask you this. Why do we give our past the power to hold us captive? Why do we let the shadows of yesterday dim the light of tomorrow? You see, the past is not a life sentence. It is only a lesson. Your mistakes, your heartbreaks, your failures, they are not meant to define who you are. They are only meant to shape you into the person you are becoming. Today, I want to remind you that your past is not your prison. It does not dictate your worth, your possibilities, or your destiny. You are far greater than the sum of your struggles, and the future waiting for you is much brighter than the pain you left behind. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. The first thing you need to understand is this. Your past is not a prison. It's a classroom. Every mistake you've made, every wrong turn, every broken dream, it's all been teaching you something. But here's where most people get stuck. They confuse a lesson with a life sentence. They think that because something bad happened to them, that bad thing is now who they are. That's not true. What happened is part of your story, but it's not your identity. Think about this. When you were learning to walk as a child, you fell countless times. But those falls weren't failures. They were lessons. They were necessary steps in learning balance, coordination, and strength. The same principle applies now. Your setbacks, your heartbreaks, your losses, those were not proof that you're doomed. They were simply falls that are meant to teach you balance in life. The problem is that as adults, we forget how to fall forward. Instead, we let one fall convince us we're not meant to walk. That's when we get stuck in the past. That's when we start telling ourselves, I can't do this, or I'm not enough. But if you can shift your mindset to see your past as a teacher instead of a punishment, you free yourself to keep moving forward. The key is reflection, not regret. Reflection allows you to extract wisdom, while regret traps you in shame. The past isn't telling you that you're unworthy, it's showing you where you need to grow. That shift alone can transform how you carry yourself. And here's the truth. Every successful person you admire has a messy past. They've all failed. They've all been broken at some point. But what made them different wasn't that they avoided mistakes, it was that they refused to let their mistakes define their future. So the next time you find yourself replaying your past, I want you to pause and ask what lesson was hidden in that moment. When you change the way you look at your past loses its power to control your future. Forgive yourself to free yourself. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think it's about excusing what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. But forgiveness isn't about erasing the past, it's about releasing its grip on your present. And the hardest person to forgive is usually yourself. You carry guilt, shame, embarrassment, and you wear it like a backpack full of bricks. No wonder you feel so heavy, it's because you're still dragging around things you were never meant to carry this long. The truth is, as long as you keep punishing yourself for what you did or didn't do in the past, you'll never feel free enough to step into who you're becoming. That guilt keeps you stuck. It's like trying to run a race with chains around your ankles. Forgiving yourself isn't about saying, it's okay that I messed up. It's about saying, I messed up, but I'm human. And I'm choosing not to let that moment control the rest of my life. Think about how much mental space you waste beating yourself up over things you can't change. Imagine what would happen if you took all of that energy and redirected it toward building your future instead. Forgiveness is a redirection of energy. It allows you to stop fighting with yourself and start fighting for yourself. And here's something powerful. You don't need anyone's permission to forgive yourself. Nobody else has to validate it. You don't need closure from anyone. You can decide right here, right now, that you're done punishing yourself. You can decide that the price you've paid is enough and that it's time to live lighter. When you finally forgive yourself, you stop reliving the same pain over and over. That's the moment when your healing begins. That's the moment when you realize you can breathe again, hope again, and dream again without constantly being pulled backward. The past might explain where you've been, but forgiveness clears the path for where you're going. Until you forgive yourself, you'll always walk in circles of regret. When you choose forgiveness, you choose freedom. Your future deserves a new you. Your future cannot be built with the same mindset that created your past struggles. You can't step into tomorrow while dragging yesterday with you. If you want something new, you have to become someone new. That means letting go of the version of yourself who kept settling, who kept doubting, who kept living small. Your future deserves a stronger, bolder, and more determined version of you. The truth is, growth always requires release. You cannot grow into your full potential if you keep clinging to your old identity. Sometimes, we stay so attached to our past selves because they feel familiar even if they're unhealthy. We keep wearing the old labels failure, broken, not good enough because that's all we know. But the moment you decide to shed those labels, you create space for transformation. It's like planting a seed. For that seed to become a tree, it has to break out of its shell. If it stays in the shell, it dies. The same is true for you. If you cling to who you used to be, you suffocate the person you're meant to become. Breaking free from the old, you may feel uncomfortable, but it's necessary for growth. And here's the thing, you don't need to have it all figured out before you step forward. Becoming a new version of yourself doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It simply means you're willing to make different choices. You're willing to think differently, act differently, and believe differently than you did yesterday. Your future is waiting for the bold you, the resilient you, the fearless you. But that version of you cannot exist if you keep dragging along the past version who is stuck in shame or regret. You have to be willing to say goodbye to that person. Every morning is an opportunity to reinvent yourself. You don't have to wait for a new year or a perfect moment. You just need to decide that your future matters more than your past. And when you make that decision, everything changes. Pain is part of the process, not the end of the story. So many people quit because of pain. They assume pain means they're failing, when in reality, pain is often the clearest sign that you're growing. Think about exercise when your muscles burn. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength being built. The same goes for life. The pain you've experienced is not there to define you. It's there to refine you. Every scar you carry tells a story of survival. Instead of hiding those scars, wear them as proof that you are still standing. Pain is not the end of your journey, it's part of your preparation. The worst things you've gone through can actually be the fuel that pushes you forward if you choose to see them that way. But here's the challenge. Most people let pain close their hearts instead of open their eyes. They let hurt convince them that they're not capable of moving forward. They assume that because they felt broken once, they'll always stay broken. That is the lie that keeps you stuck. The truth is, pain is temporary, but the lessons it teaches you are permanent. Pain is not your enemy, it's a signal. It's showing you what matters, where you need to heal, and how strong you really are. Instead of running from it, face it. Instead of resenting it, learn from it. The moment you stop fighting against your pain and start working with it, you'll see that it was never there to break you, it was always there to build you. And the reality is, you cannot have strength without struggle. You cannot have wisdom without mistakes. You cannot have resilience without challenges. Everything you admire about the strongest people you know was born from the pain they endured. So the next time you feel like your pain is proof that you've lost, remind yourself it's proof that you're still in the fight. Your story doesn't end with the pain. It begins with how you rise after it. Write a new chapter with boldness. Your story is not over. No matter what's happened in your past, the pen is still in your hand. You get to decide what comes next. But here's the catch. Most people keep writing the same chapter over and over because they're afraid to imagine something different. They keep repeating old cycles because it feels safer than stepping into the unknown. But if you want a different future, you have to be bold enough to write a different chapter. That means taking risks. That means saying yes to opportunities even when you feel afraid. That means refusing to let the voices from your past convince you that you're not capable of more. Boldness isn't about never feeling fear, it's about acting anyway. Think about how many dreams have died because people were too scared to turn the page. They were too afraid of failure, too afraid of rejection, too afraid of starting over. Don't let that be you. Don't let your story end because you refuse to pick up the pen. Writing a new chapter means declaring, I am not who I used to be. I am who I decide to be today. It means looking at the blank page of your future with excitement instead of dread. It means trusting that even if you stumble along the way, you'll keep writing until your story becomes one worth telling. And the beauty of it all is this: every single day you get a fresh page. Every sunrise is an invitation to write something new. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You just need courage. Your future isn't waiting for perfection, it's waiting for your decision. The bold decision to stop letting your past dictate the story, and the brave decision to create one that reflects the strength you've built along the way. In the end, your past may have left you with scars, but scars are not signs of weakness, they are evidence of survival. They remind you of where you've been, but they don't get to decide where you're going. The only thing that defines your future is the decision you make right now, in this moment, to rise above the weight of yesterday. You are not your mistakes, you are not your failures, and you are not your pain. You are the strength, resilience, and courage that came out of those moments. So stop letting the past steal the light from your tomorrow. Your future is not written in the ink of regret, it is written in the ink of choice. And today, you have the power to choose differently. Step into the next chapter with boldness, with faith, and with determination. Because the moment you refuse to let your past define you, you open the door to a future filled with possibilities, freedom, and purpose.